Well, I just thought you might want to know that.
All right.
And I'm looking at it, and it is live streamed. I'm looking at it, and it is live streamed. I'm looking at it, and it is live streamed. And it echoes.
Yes, it did. Looks like we're up. Several more folks are in. Let's see here.
Yeah, who's got the phone number ends in 61?
Hey, that's me. That's Amy.
Okay.
The 4461.
Yeah. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when I'm talking to this other guy, I don't think I said a bad word.
No.
Okay.
Hey, Greg.
Hey,
Glenn.
how are you?
Awesome. I'm good. I'm driving to Camden. I'll try to mute my phone in a minute.
All right, just let you know we are live streamed right now.
Okay. All right. And I'm sending you my report. It's short, but it'll come from my email from my admin assistant. And I usually give that. I usually bring it up there or email it to y'all, so you don't have to type anything if you include it.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Hey, Kim.
Hello.
Good morning.
How's everybody?
Doing good. How about you?
Good morning, Kim.
Weathering it okay, I guess. I know I'm going to have to beg you guys to hire a school counselor. We had an opening in Brantley, so Kirsten got hired Monday night as a school counselor.
Good job, Kim. We're live on YouTube, so everybody
We're
keep
live stream.
Hey, I just want to say good morning. This is Martha. I couldn't get my mic or my mic to work, so I'm calling in.
Morning, Martha.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, for everybody just recently logged in, we are currently live on YouTube. So
we have Martha, Amy, and looks like, is that Glenn that's on phone too, Greg?
yes.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a quorum of superintendents.
Yeah, I think we got a full quorum.
Yeah.
And before we start at 9. Just a reminder, this meeting is scheduled for 30 minutes, 9 to 9:30. The Chalk Talk would follow at 9:45 in a separate meeting.
Well, do you want to, it's 9, do you want to go ahead and begin, or do you want to give folks another minute or two?
Yeah, let me resend one link here just real fast, and we can get started.
Okay. Lori, you mad throwing cabinet doors around and stuff like that?
Trying to find my notebook.
All right, Dr. Larson, whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, we'll get going here. I'm sure we'll add some other folks, but looks like we've definitely got a quorum, so we'll go ahead and start. And as Dr. Jacobs mentioned, remember this meeting is planned to go about 30 minutes, and then we'll take a brief break, and then we will fire back up at 9:45. We have Matt Jones that's supposed to be meeting with us, and maybe Senator Ellis Black will be with us as well. And hopefully they'll be able to provide us some additional information. So most of our discussion, things that we'd like to discuss, we'll hold off for that 9:45 meeting, if that's okay with everybody. So it's great to see all of you, and I can't imagine. I'm still sometimes just shake my head and can't believe that this is real. And I'm sure you all share the same sentiments with me. I just can't believe this, but we're going to survive. It's a new normal, that's for sure. So anyway, welcome. You have an agenda there. Everybody should, if your video, you're able to see the agenda. Dr. Jacobs has prepared that for us. Dr. Jacobs, do you have any changes or additions to that agenda?
I do not.
Okay, if there are no changes or additions, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Motion by Bert. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kim. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, good. The agenda is approved. We have no minutes for the February meeting, for the March meeting. We do have February minutes. Is that correct, Dr. Jacobs?
Yes, I emailed those to everyone Monday or Tuesday.
I'm sure you all reviewed those. Do I have a motion that we approve the February minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the February minutes.
Good deal. Thank you, Morris. Good to see you. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right, second, Kevin. Good to see you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All right, the February minutes are approved. Okay, Dr. Jacobs, just to remind everybody that joined in just now, remember this is going to be a fairly short meeting. We're going to finish up about 9:30, and then Dr. Jacobs has sent us another link for an additional meeting that will begin at 9:45. We anticipate Matt Jones and maybe Senator Ellis Black with us in that meeting to give us some more information as it relates to budget. And that's the meeting that we'll do Chalk Talk. So we're sort of going to run through this meeting rather quickly. We are live streamed on YouTube right now to meet the open records requirements. So just everybody, if you will, keep that in mind. All right, Dr. Jacobs, personnel recommendations.
Yeah, I would like to recommend the full-time certified staff at Okefenokee-Risa South Central GLRS as presented. I sent those documents this morning to you. I will read them off if you haven't looked at it. For those that don't have, they're on the phone right now, but the full-time staff, certified staff at Risa are Rhonda Robbins, Elizabeth Oliver, Cindy Hitt, Wendy Good, Brandon Carter, Kathy Murray, DNR, and OSP combined, and then Dana Robbins for South Central GLRS.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jacobs. You've heard Dr. Jacobs' recommendation. Do I have a motion that we approve his recommendation?
So moved.
I make a,
Okay, was that you, Bert? Bert?
That was me.
All
Yes,
right,
Bert.
Bert made the motion. Kim, you second the motion?
yes, sir.
All right, is there any discussion about this employment recommendation from Dr. Jacobs? If not, all in favor say aye. Are there any opposition? Anybody with no? I didn't think so. The motion carries. All right, Dr. Jacobs, Harold Learning Center.
Yeah, I recommend the following full-time certified staff at the Harold Learning Center for the next school year, FY21. That includes Director Haley Livingston, Tammy Gardner, Tabitha Alexander, Susan Baum, Harley Brown, Andrea Burse, Tammy Kate, Amy Ellis, Christy Gerard, Jay Jones, Pamela Majdi, and Jamel Terry. And that would leave one unfilled position of the 10 teachers that we have. That's 9 teachers and some support staff, certified support staff, but that still leaves that one unfilled position. And we're not opening it right at this moment. We used a long-term sub.
Okay, you've heard Dr. Jacobs' recommendation. Do I have a motion that we approve?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, is that you, Judy?
Yes.
Okay, Judy made the motion. Kevin, you second that motion?
That's fine. Yep.
All right, discussion, Dr. Jacobs. Are these all returning staff members from this year?
Yes, they're all returning staff members for this year.
Well, that's awesome. That sounds like things are going well at the Harold Center. So
Yeah.
Yes, knock on wood. Yes, get contracts out.
Yeah. Are there any other discussion questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, at this time, we'll move on to higher education and library reports. I think we have Dr. Dibert online. Dr. Dibert, are you able to talk with us?
Yes, sir, and I'll be very brief. So, as most of you can probably imagine, we are closed to the public still. All of our classes went online, and that's actually going very well. And we do have approval from the state that have been conducting some very, very limited labs, 1 or 2 students at the time, using social distancing, and so forth. So we are making progress, doing really well. Something that I'll probably send y'all in a letter at some point is we do and have been approved to come up with a new grade. And it's a grade of Z, like X, Y, Z. And what that is for any student where the COVID-19 has affected them being able to complete classes, especially with dual enrollment in mind. We have been trying to continue with as many students as possible, and I think we're going to have a pretty good number of our dual enrollment students finish. Our faculty has been reaching out to them, their parents, and so forth, and some of you as well at schools. So what is a grade of Z? It's a grade that will not count against the student's GPA. It's neither a pass nor a fail, so it doesn't harm the student. This is students that don't get finished, of course. So it doesn't go against their GPA, and it doesn't go against their hope satisfactory academic progress. So really, it's almost like a no grade for those that just dropped out, didn't want to finish. We do have a pretty good number of students that are finishing. I can't give you that exact number, but we have had a lot of students move forward, and we're still having a lot of success with the dual enrollment numbers. So anyway, that's pretty much it for us. We think we'll be the same way summer online. I guess I need to mention too, those that are trying to finish any students dual enrollment or traditional, we will carry an IP, those that want to continue forward, and that'll go through the summer semester. And if they don't get finished in the summer, or something happens, they decide not to, I can still turn around and issue them a Z. So it's no harm, no foul to the student. And that concludes my report.
Good deal. Thank you, Dr. Dibert. Are there any questions for Dr. Dibert?
Dr. Dibert, I'm assuming that grade, that's TCSG wide, so that's for all the technical college system?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Great.
It's approved by GSFC, state of Georgia, everybody, so they're aware of it.
Is USG going to be doing that too?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
All right.
I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it.
All right.
Okay. Are there other questions for Dr. Dybert? If not, we'll move on to Miss Amy Hancock. Amy?
Hey, good morning. In answer to that question, the way the USG is handling it right now, I know that people were putting out there wanting the pass-fail, but that's not the way it's going to be. It's still going to be grades. Of course, everyone, the professors and the college is working with people that are having difficulties with what they need to do to complete. So that's all I know about that part. We are finishing up spring online. We don't have any students in the residence halls. We don't have any students on campus. And it's going to continue on summer to be completely online. As far as I know, fall is looking the same as it always is. But of course, we'll just have to see how that goes, whether we're going to have classes here. I assume we will, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. Our graduation has been canceled, but we are looking at different options, maybe a virtual graduation, maybe a later graduation, but all of that will be announced later. But we are looking at the options for that. And we have gone to a 4-day work week here on the Douglas and Waycross campus. So if you need to get in touch with us, be sure to do it. Most people are working remotely, but they can all still be reached by phone or by email. So registration is open for summer and fall. So spread that word that summer will be online and to get in touch with us.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Hancock. Anybody have any questions? All right, Ms. Jones is with us from the public library. Ms. Jones?
Good morning. We are in a similar situation. Most of our staff are at home. We have the regional staff and the managers are working occasionally coming in, but mostly it's remotely. We're doing our programming virtually. We have some adult book talks, story times in English and Spanish. And of course, you can check out our social media pages for those. We are looking at changing summer reading, of course, because, you know, we usually have crowds of up to 100, 150 kids. And obviously that probably won't work in June. So we're looking at some different options for that. Of course, our problem, like many of the schools' problems, is that a lot of people, if we virtually provide the service, they don't have internet at home or the ability to stream it. So we're trying to find a way to work around that while still providing equal access. We're looking at opening May 4th. We're still waiting for guidance from Georgia Public Library Service on that. I do know that we'll be looking at a 3-day quarantine period for any returned items. We're probably going to extend the fine-free period till the end of May. And we're working to acquire enough masks and protective equipment for our staff that work the front lines. So all a changing world for us. It's kind of exciting, but also really terrifying because, you know, you do worry. I mean, every time I come to the library, there's people in our parking lots trying to use the internet. So this is, I'm sure, hard on a lot of people in ways that we probably haven't even foreseen yet. So anyway, that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Ms. Jones?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Okay.
Ms. Jones, I'm curious about your 3-day wait period on items that are returned. Is there some written guidance on that? Is that something that the media for the state has sent down? No,
that's not something we've gotten from the state. That's something we've looked at from the CDC, where they say that the virus can live on surfaces for up to 3 days.
Great.
So
right.
I'm sure Georgia Public Library Service will have it in their guidelines, or they might have a longer period. So I don't know. At this point, we're trying to prepare without guidance. I'm sure you guys are used to that.
Oh yeah. Well, if it's the CDC guidelines, that answers my question. I was just curious. All right.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to committee reports. Dr. Lisa, I know that you and Dr. Jacobs have been meeting weekly with Gail and GSSA. Do you have anything you'd like to report for us?
Greg has done a great job preparing the minutes from those meetings and sending those out to everybody. meetings very similar to this, just frank discussions with the group of superintendents and RESA representatives. And, you guys know as much as I do, really. I think about those meetings and from the minutes, nothing really earth shattering. Y'all are probably working your other networks of superintendents and hearing very similar things, but at this point, a lot of fluid discussions. Greg, what do you got, Greg?
I agree with you, Morris. I think plus when Robert Costley sends out the minutes that are taken for the actual meeting, besides the brief ones that I send, I'll forward the more detailed minutes to you guys as well. And in reading them, they're pretty accurate. That goes along with what actually is being said during the meeting. But it's a lot of unknown, a lot of diverse, different things being said. Some things in common, some things are being done differently from rural to the urban areas, but just a lot of unknown.
The one takeaway that it seemed everybody more than were all in agreement with was to kind of hold harmless on grades, take the end of what the kids were doing when this all started and they left for the semester or whatever, and then use that grade and don't hurt them from that point moving forward. But that was pretty common for everybody, that approach.
Right. Okay, good. From a state board perspective, there's nothing really to report. You get the reports like we do. I would mention just from a legislative perspective, I think you all kept up with the desire for the legislature to get back in session, and particularly of interest to us as it relates to budget. I'm hoping that Senator Black can join us later in our next meeting and shed some light on that information. There's been calls to do spending resolutions without a budget. And then, we've been told to prepare for anywhere from 10 to 20%. So I just hope that we'll have more information later, maybe even later this morning as it relates to that. So this time we'll move on to Dr. Jacobs' report.
Okay, for those that are on the video, I've pulled the note. You should be able to see the notes on the screen. And then I've also emailed them to you as well this morning. So I'll run through these pretty quickly. You mentioned the state board. I don't have it on here, but I sent you an email. Camden was officially approved to join Okefenokee RESA last state board of education meeting. So that was something to add for the state board. In regards to the HLC updates, we got our school safety grant approved, and we're in the process of sending out the requisitions for the different items that we have on there. I think the most expensive thing that we put on there was well under $5,000. It was a couple of AEDs. Add the AEDs to the school, but we've got trauma kits, door barricades, blackout shades, some additional cameras, vest, an ID badge maker, and a visitor badge printer. So those are the type of items that we got approved from the DOE for the $30,000, and we're trying to get that out and get those ordered before they freeze. The OPB freezes that money. The Herald Center also sent out packets like many of you guys did for the kids. Teachers are contacting kids and having conversations with them and their parents. So kind of mimicking and following along the guidelines. Haley stayed in touch with your special ed directors and those type of situations. So all that's ongoing. GLRS, talked with Dana yesterday. We had a GLRS meeting, and she's being told that her budget will remain intact. It's federal money, obviously, that there would not anticipate any cuts to that budget at this time, that's good news. Just in terms of RESA PL, kind of kept you up to date along the lines that we're talking with staff continuously about planning for the future, whether it's short-term or long-term. And I think both will involve a new virtual component, maybe more so than it has in the past. And we're looking at different platforms, whether it be Zoom or Google Meets, which one's going to be the most effective measure by which to use going forward. But those guys have, in a short amount of time, they could have something for you if you wanted something before this school year ends. A couple of you have reached out that you might have some need. So they're on go with a couple of days notice, maybe a week's notice. They could have something prepared. I believe Dr. Larissy mentioned earlier about having some Google Classroom training. Well, going even back to when Blake was here, he had worked on some of those offerings. So there's some things that are sitting there that could be pretty ramped up pretty quickly. Georgia TAP, gifted endorsements will definitely, we're really leaning really closely to making those, especially the gifted, all virtual for next year. The first class already is. The other two have been hybrids, but we're very close to just going ahead and making the call that those would be all virtual, but they may require some real-time interactive virtual sessions and not just all recorded. In fact, those that participate in the Weston Kishniak, who's very popular speaker that some of the people in your systems have gone to, and who's very up to date on this integrating virtual learning, recommends that you need to intersperse interactive learning virtually with recorded content. So it might be a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 sessions. There might be 2 recorded sessions and then a live session, so to speak. So that's kind of the model that we're going to go off of. For the longer courses, is that there may be some recordings, but then there will be some live interactive virtual events. We'll be a new employee orientation right now. We're also we're going to plan for it to be virtual, but obviously it's very easy to go back to live if we're able to bring people back in and do live, but we'll plan for new employee orientation to be virtual, and some of you send participants to that and some of you do not, but that's kind of what we're thinking. With a virtual component, we'll be able to do a lot of things for targeted to small groups or up to larger groups. But, even as simple as if the people can't be in the buildings or they can't come here, you might be able to work with a grade level at the school by doing a Zoom or that type of thing during their planning period. It'll just take some scheduling and those type of things. A lot of it will be dependent upon how open we are when we do PBIS walkthroughs and the things that require us to go in the buildings. Obviously, if we're in school and in session and, whatever guidelines, I know we'll talk about some of that in our next meeting that you'll have for visitors and those type of things that you're thinking about. But, we're going to follow CDC recommendations here as I'm sure that you are. For GOSA, the teacher leader, we made that cohort last year. The one program that I've heard that will receive some cuts is the GOSA Teacher Leader Teacher Induction, but they do have federal funds to make up for some of the local state cuts to that grant, so that if we want to offer both Teacher Leader and Teacher Induction, we should be able to do that. Teacher Leader cohorts are made. They're planning, obviously, that it might be a virtual event as opposed to being the 4-face. But that cohort is made. The question that I have, induction program, which was piloted with Atkinson last year and a few teachers from the Harold Center. And I know Bob's on the line, but from what we got, it was good feedback. Those were people who had induction certificates and that they had coaches from RESA. They had a couple of sessions face-to-face, and then they had some coaching where the RESA staff would go in and observe and help support them during last year. So I think if we take some of the federal money, we would have to first offer some spots to the 2 schools that are identified. But obviously we could go beyond that if they didn't have 25 total new staff members that wanted to participate. So saying all that, the question I kind of have to know, because I have to let Stacy Lutz know, would your district be interested in having a few people in the teacher induction cohort for next year? Because we could expand it to the RESA and offer a couple of spots. And then obviously, if you've got 5 people, you probably won't get that unless the other districts won't participate. But it might be a high needs area like a Spanish teacher that you like to hold on to because you just hired them, and some extra support through us might be beneficial. That's kind of what I was thinking, a high needs type person. But I don't have to know today, but I would probably need to know by Monday of next week. So give you some time to think and maybe talk to your other senior staff. But I'll shoot an email out Monday asking if you want to participate in that program. probably a 25 person limit across the RISA. So it would be I would be thinking like a high need, somebody really we want to support, and to make sure that we can hold on to those people long term. A lot of you have responded. I didn't check this morning, but the Ghost has sent me out an email asking me those questions to ask you to send back to them regarding distance learning, your barriers and your second barrier and that type of thing. I think most of you have responded yesterday, and if you haven't, I'm going to probably send the information that I have to them tomorrow afternoon. And if you need the link to that form again, I can send it to you. But that's the notes that I have for this meeting.
Okay, good. Now, will somebody talk? Oh, I think that's me. Okay, next item on the agenda is upcoming dates. As you all know, I think most things have been canceled that's coming up soon. I think the only thing I think we're still holding on to Summer Gale. I'm not aware that it's been canceled yet, but we'll just keep up with that. Are there any new business items that we need to discuss?
Yeah, John, we had talked about maybe I missed it, but the evaluation, Dr. Jacobs' evaluation, how are we going to handle that? We were supposed to meet prior to our last meeting, but we weren't, obviously we didn't. So how are we going to handle that?
Dr. Jacobs, remind me who, Kevin, I know it was you, and who were the
me, Bird, and Judy, I think.
Okay, I'll tell you what, if it's okay with you all, Kevin, I will give you the authority to reach out to those other two, if you don't mind, and you guys discuss that just between you, and then maybe Dr. Jacobs can send you all the actual instrument that we use, and then you all be prepared to give us a report next month as it relates to that. If
What?
all right. Dr. Jacobs, is that okay with you?
Yes.
All right, good deal. Other items for discussion before we adjourn? Okay, I want to remind everyone that we're going to fire back up at 9:45 with Matt Jones and hopefully Senator Black. And I know that that's the opportunity in the next 15 or so minutes. Take this as a time to reflect and maybe jot down a few questions that we'll have for those individuals. So if there's no other items, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Kim. Do I have a second?
Question.
Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead.
Before we adjourn, question. Hey, I'm curious. Is this Google Meets that we're on, or is this Google Hangout?
It's the same thing. I think Hangouts became Meet.
All right. It's we've been using a combination of GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar, and then of course some of them are using Zoom. But I'll be quite honest, I don't know that this layout isn't the best I've seen yet. Anyways, for what it's worth.
Good deal. All right, now I had a motion. Who was my second?
Lori.
All right, Lori, good deal. Any discussion? All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All right, good deal. We'll see everyone back at 9:45. Remember, you have a different link, so you'll need to leave this meeting and then we'll rejoin at 9:45. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.